G'day everyone, welcome to episode 100 of Life on the Hulls. It's been quite a journey. I didn't really think I'd still be down in the bilges, but this episode certainly celebrates the completion of my tankage, or at least I thought it did until the end. But last week I finished off the Blackwater tanks with the epoxy paint and gave them a test fit. I'm actually going to put some small ABS shims in between the hull and the actual boat itself to allow for some cushioning and any abrasion that's in there. But for now I needed to move the modules out of the port side. Again, they'd been in place for some time, so Ellen and her boyfriend Zach and Janet were on hand that weekend. There was no one else around, and I was able to get the modules out of the way and get to the actual tank lid, and therefore I was able to finish in this episode the completed tanks. They're around about 210 litres on each side of freshwater storage, so quite a substantial amount of freshwater storage on the boat. But just getting access is often difficult. Look, if you like this episode, please give it a like. You know, it's so good to see the comments, and make a comment as well. And please, if you haven't already, please subscribe, because I've got a lot of pretty good stuff coming up. A lot of hints and tips, and in fact this one's purely boat building except for the very end. And I hope you enjoy yourself, guys, and enjoy me sweating through this very, very hot summer. Thanks guys for joining me. I'll see you soon. After much effort and help from Zach, my daughter Ellen's boyfriend, and Ellen and Janet, who just came up, we've got the big modules out of the way, and I've got the other water tank lid out. So pretty happy about that. So I thought, while I'm standing here with nothing to do, which is not often, I'm just going to measure this up. And I've just calculated up there where I want the outlet and the rim to be placed on this lid, and it's going to be off to the side slightly. I have to do it because all the access under the shower is there. I also wanted it at the lowest point of the tank, and luckily when you open up the bottom floor of the port bathroom, the port head, you lift up the floor of the shower, and this is directly underneath it. It's actually probably like that. So I've got access across the top of it, and it means if I move it slightly off center, even though I won't get the last little bit of water out, I'll certainly have better access to changing fittings, changing hoses, checking for leaks, etc, etc. So pretty important facet of this build is that I'm able to respond and change things as I need them. Okay, so I'm going to position this one slightly off center. As you can see, the actual pickup for this tank, that's the fill, and this is one of the pickups, can in fact be almost in the center of this tank just by turning it. So that's what I'm going to aim to do, is basically have this off to the center, off to the center anyway. So I've determined that that's my ring I need to cut out of here, and then this is my backing ring, and I made this guy that fits underneath. It's going to be somewhere there, so with the angle which is under the lid. It's time to glue in my water tank lids. I've been dying for this day. Once I get these in place, I can really start to think straight. I've got to remove all this stuff. What I have done, however, is I've vacuumed them out entirely. Now, because I've got potable epoxy inside there, I'm going to line them with some black plastic just so that when I glue the lids down, any oozing or any squeeze out won't drip down onto my beautiful potable epoxy. I don't want to contaminate that surface, and then I'm just going to have to remove that black plastic later on. The only issue is going to be the second chamber. I'm not going to be able to pull that plastic out until I cut the second hatch. Although I may be able to pull it through the limber hole, I'm more inclined to cut a second hatch in the front there underneath this inspection hatch here, so that I can then access it, and then I'll pull it out later on. But for now, I want to make sure nothing lands in the tank other than dirt and dust, which I can wash out. I don't want epoxy in there because it is potable at the moment. So I've given it a good sand. I'm just going to give it another quick wipe with some acetone all the way around, because you've got to remember I'm going to make the surface around here as well with epoxy, not just on the base, so it's going to be sealed around the outside as well as underneath the lip. Is give the edges here a light white with acetone. Even though it's been sanded, it's purified, things can never be clean enough. Go down in one. Absolutely perfect. This one. I'm going to hover this and just go down in one hit. So that's down. That is down. So this guy's now glued in. The lids are glued down, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually tape the outside rim. So I'll fill this gap here with a filled epoxy, and then I'll glass tape the lid down just as a final bit of security, because obviously being epoxy down, there's no chance those lids are ever going to list. But what I do want to do is I want to neaten this and then continue either the flow coat down over the top or the white epoxy paint over the top there to keep it all nice and neat and tidy. But yeah, they're looking pretty fantastic. So they're now secure. It does need another hatch up in the second forward baffle so for inspection, and I'm going to work on that later on once the tanks are all sort of finished. Okay, so that one's now ready to go. I've now got to go round through here. It's a bit of a challenge getting through here because everything's jammed in here while I get these subfloors done over the other side. And I'm going to do this lid now too, and then I'll be able to come in and just laminate them all. This floor, once this is done, glassed and flow coated possibly tomorrow morning early, because we're going to have a 46 degree day here tomorrow. That's going to get flow coated very early, and then I can glass this floor down. Right, I've got my 6 cups here, which should be enough to fill the water tank, the gap in the lid of the water tank. And I've got some milled fibre here, which I'm going to add to this resin to form the thickener and my catalyst there. That's going to form the thickened resin that I need to fill this ridge around here, and I'm going to put a fillet in, and then I'm going to come back and glass it tomorrow once I give it a light sand. So that was really interesting. It's a lot thicker than I'm used to with using micro balloons or colloidal silica, but it's a very, very thick fibrous or milled fibre that I've mixed into that resin there, and it's created quite a solid fillet. I mean, that's probably as solid as the actual lid. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a nice decorative, this is what I call surfboard weight cloth. It's about 100 grams. It's a twill fabric, so it has 2 weaves running one way and one running the other, and very, very fine, and it's great for conforming to shape. So down on the edge of this water tank here, where I'm trying to down here, I'm trying to basically complete a nice rounded bullnose finish. It's always good to use a lightweight cloth. You don't want to put on really heavy, like 600 gram or 300 gram double bias, because sometimes you might end up with a bit of a rugged finish. This stuff's great. It's purely decorative. Once I get the lid actually glassed down, there's no way that this is ever going to leave. So I'm going to make sure that's a nice rounded bullnose, and I'm going to glass it in place right now. Righto, so yesterday I glassed the edge of the water tank here, and right now I'm going to get and do the perimeter of the lid with 2 layers. One layer of 100 gram surfboard cloth, and then another 600 double bias just for extra strength. It's already 37 degrees Celsius in here. It's probably a bit too hot, but I'm going to get it down really quickly and then get out of here, because it's going to be too hot to work in here for the rest of the day. So that just looks amazing, and yeah, beautiful finish. Very, very happy with that. That is now done. Man, 42 in here now. It is foul. I've got one more to do, and then I'm going to have to go. There's just, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's like 42 in here already. It's clipped to get it around about 47 degrees air temperature today, so it could very easily go to 60, 70 degrees in here with a bit of help with the enclosed dome. So yeah, not a healthy environment to be working, especially when you've got resins going off. But yeah, that's going to be off in 10 minutes. I can flow coat that in 5 or 10 minutes. It's crazy. After much preparation and tons of work, I mean, you cannot imagine how much work that tank and the one on the other side has taken me to get to this stage.
It's time to flow coat the lid. I'll be able to, once I've done this, I'm now ready to glass those floors down because everything will be accessible under there that I need to get to put my plumbing lines and everything else. So I'm going to flow coat these lids now. Now what I've done here in the hole, I've actually left my black plastic in there in case any flow coat falls inside the tank there. I don't want that in there at all. And I've also made a dam with some masking tape around that rim there to stop anything from falling in. I'm going to pretty much flow coat the entire surface of that and the upright around it right up into the composite angle there on both sides. So pretty happy to get to this stage. It's about 2 days before Christmas, so it really sort of finds itself at the right point where I can get everything sort of completed so that when I come back straight after Christmas, I'm into it, floors down, onto the bulkheads, get those bulkheads glassed in place. So lots going on here on the hull. Righto, so that's the starboard water tank lid. Now painted, glassed in, it is finished. It's hot enough. That gel coat lasted 15 minutes and it was just enough time. I put it 1.2%, so it's already catalysed, and at 15 minutes, honestly, I was able to do both lids with the one pot. I've actually got about 1.5 litres of flow coat over there that now needs to go back in the pot, which is not ideal, but I'm going to go and get straight back in there. But yet they're done. That all I need to do now is basically get rid of that masking tape, give it a light sand, polish the top of that, get it a beautiful seal, and then I can put marine sealant on it and put my my lids that I've got on the from the rims, and then screw them into the deck there, and that's done. I then need to put another hatch around about here somewhere on this side of the baffle because I can't access that side, and I'll have access through the floor. God, sorry, I'm just so hot. It is, you know, again, it's like 38 degrees and it's an absolute beast of a day today, but it's early and I've got it done, and I'm really happy to have that one and the other side both completed all in one hit, and pretty quickly, to be honest. I was worried about this. I always worry when I have to do a final finish, but you know, I can always give that a sand and give it another coat if I need to. But the more coat you do, the more weight you introduce into your boat, you're better off to try to do it in one sitting. That's going to suffice. Bit of an early morning this morning, guys. I've just left home at about 5 a.m. I've driven up to Homebush in Sydney to RWB Marine in Sydney, and I'm here to pick up all my pumps, my Jabsco pumps, toilets, accessories for my tank lids and things. Now, got the mother load of gear here, got a few hatches, got some tanks here that I'm going to use for my black water and my fresh water, and a heap of parts. So yeah, good score. It's like the first big score of stuff that I haven't had to fabricate myself, which has been nice. But yeah, I'm going to get on my way. You know, it's all about relationships in this game, and you know, I met Scott about 18 months ago, and the guys hung on while I gotten all my underfloors and everything complete. And you know, what a top lad. He's sorted me out with a great price on all this stuff. You know, certainly cost me the earth that,
For now, I'm going to go and help my little brother Brett do some roofing, and yeah, it should be a bit of fun up on the roof. A couple of middle-aged blokes tromping around on the tiles up on the roof, but yeah, it's going to be a big day, so I've got a bit of work ahead of me. What's happening, bro, Stio?
Tiling work. Head injuries. Mild head injuries.
Let's not talk about the head injury.
Talk about
Oh, we got how many tons of these put out? This is going on the global channel, I don't care if I swore.
8 tons.
8 tons of these stinkers off and down this bloody little narrow pathway. Anyway, that's what you gotta do. Oh, buddy, I just spent 2 days with my little brother roofing his house in sort of inner city Sydney in Marrickville, getting rid of about 8 tons of tiles and the shit underneath this 95-year-old roof. I mean, unbelievable. It's all over me. Beautiful. 39 degrees on the roof, and yeah, that's a mug's game. I feel sorry for any of you buggers that are out there that do roofing. I know there's a number of you out there that probably have done it in the past, and we've all done it, but it's hard, yakka. It is hard work. And yeah, my poor little brother and his mate's still up there going, and I'm done. I'm going home. I've actually got to get home, but got to get home for work. But you know, that's the way it is. What you do, get the job done. Okay, just come back from Sydney. Went up and picked up a few spare, or just 2 spare freshwater tanks. They're 78 litres, and they're going to be positioned up in the bow, sort of in the forward cabin bilges. I figure you can never have enough storage for fresh water or for grey water. I'm undecided how I'm going to use them. I'm going to mount them in before I put these floors down. I don't want to have to go and retrofit later on. I've got some work to do. I'm going to have to sand away some of the areas that are flow coated and put in some mounts so that I can physically strap those down. But I think it's a really good insurance policy, given that you know, we could be spending extended time on the boat and needing a lot of freshwater storage and or grey water on one side. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do it, but I figure an extra 160 litres is nothing compared to the grand scheme of things here.